Hello, folks. Can everyone hear me okay? This is our closing ceremony for the Microsoft Visual Studio Code Hackathon. This was a hackathon all about building new things and learning while we do it. This is for the Microsoft Visual Studio Code Hackathon for those of you that are watching, and we'll be starting off with our demos very soon. I have a list of really cool projects to show y'all from our hackathon this weekend. And for those of you who are wondering, that is what we're doing today. This is the Microsoft Visual Studio Code Hackathon closing ceremony. So stay tuned and we'll get started very soon. All right, hello folks. Welcome to the closing ceremony for Microsoft Visual Studio Code Hackathon. Hopefully you learned something. Hopefully you built something to help someone else learn something, because that is what this weekend is all about. And we're gonna kick this off with some demo videos like I mentioned earlier. And we'll be starting off with this one. This is called Error Resolver VS Code Extension. I'll be playing it right now. So make sure to let me know if you can hear the sound. I believe it should be working, and I'll get started. Okay, hello again. It looks like there's no sound, so I'm going to be working on troubleshooting that right now. Thank you so much. Please hold tight and I'll get that working in a second. Can you hear me? Am I speaking? Hmm. Cool, so you can hear me, just not the sound quite. Let me figure that out right now. All right, sorry for the wait. If you give me just a few moments. Okay, let's try this one more time. Still no sound. Sorry about that, folks. Let me try this one more time. Well, I'll try it until I can figure it out. Hi, Steven. We have someone else joining the stream.
Hello, everyone. How's it going?
Hi, Steven. We have someone else joining the stream. Oops. Not sure if that was me or you. I think that was live streaming's confusing.
Hi everyone, this is Sumit. I'm from India, from Siliguri Institute of Technology, and this video is for the submission for the extension development for the VS Code Hackathon. So I hope that everyone is doing well in this pandemic situation. So I'll just give a quick demo of my extension and we'll say that for what category or for what reason this might cater few audiences in the development environment. So I'll just launch my extension which is named as Error Resolver. So Error Resolver is basically your uh, within the VS Code and error resolving tool, which basically just list all the possible solution or the top solution for a given query. Suppose I have something like Django time filled format error, and I click on search. Yeah. So you can check that there is a query posted by a user. So now the question is from where the data is fetched. I have used the Stack Overflow API. So it basically the suggestions and the question answer is listed or the fetched from the Stack Overflow API. So this is basically I'm giving a query, and for that query I'm getting the top results for the query. So you can get all the answers within with also the question posted out here. So for which type of audiences it will be good, I mean preferable? I guess for everyone, because we use Stack Overflow as a daily tool when we face some problems in our development. So for this reason, I haven't specifically focused or created an extension for students or professionals. I've basically created a simple lightweight extension for everyone who can use Stack Overflow within the VS Code. So if somebody wants to check more detail or the other answers, because this is only fetching the top answers, and then also I have given the options for loading answers out here. If somebody wants to check the detailed answer of this or some other alternative, if this doesn't work, he or she can click on the link, which will basically open this up in on your default browser, and then you can basically read all the answers out here as there are only one answer, so it's showing only one. So I hope that you have liked this project and my idea to cater all type of audiences out there, not only the students or beginners. So stay home and stay safe. Goodbye.
Okay, folks, that was our first streamer. Ooh, let's mute that. I'm not exactly that music is coming from. 1 second, folks. I'll be back with the next demo in just a second. Okay, folks, sorry about that. Let me pull that next demo for you right now. Ooh, it looks like it's playing without me. And I'll play that just as soon as I can figure out where this Kahoot music is coming from, because I'm not entirely sure. One moment. Yeah, let me pull that out. So sorry, folks. I've never had Kahoot music just start randomly playing like this. You're correct that it's most likely from autoplay. I just can't for the life of me figure out which tab it's coming from. Found it, folks. I am so sorry. Let's play this video now. So this is Ask Me Your Smart Assistant for Coding. Let's check it out. Okay, folks, it looks like there may have been issues with that. Let me try again. Actually, I'll be coming back to that presentation. I'll show you all another one right now, but I will make that larger for you. Apologies.
Showing you my extension. All that my extension really does is it just shows you how many characters you typed in a specific hour. So if I were to type away after 10 seconds, this little status bar down here will update saying how many I've typed in this hour. And so after a while, it'll keep going and going. So after a while, it'll accumulate, and you can see over time how much you've done per day just by running this quick command, productivity tracker. And then you can view this chart where I'll show you the most recent 30 days. There's a lot of stuff I wanted to add, but literally I made this in 3 hours. It's the first extension I've ever made, but I hope you enjoyed. Have a great
Oops. Okay, that was really cool. Let's check out this other one. One moment.
Hello, friendly programmer friend. Our team would like to welcome you to the simplest way to learning how to start out with a new language. Every programmer, young and old, started off as a tadpole in the pond of the great programming environment, surrounded by Stack Overflows and as many YouTube videos as the heart could desire. But if you were like me, all of that was overwhelming and rather scary. So to help out all of our up-and-coming programmers, we simplified the learning to core concepts and reinforced lessons by gamifying the process. Because we know you learn better when you practice, and you practice when you're having fun. So now, my friend, let me show you how it goes. When you launch the extension from the command palette, this is what you'll see. Here you can choose the language of choice and whatever you'd like to practice. Then you come to the simplest lesson that we can come up with for that chosen topic. And right at the bottom, you can interact with the code and find the errors that we left in the code for you. Oh, this is not right. There we go. There should be a concatenation here. That's an error too. Moving on. Finally, you can practice what you've learned. But if you don't remember exactly what it was, just tab back to the lesson. That's how it's done, isn't it? And that's it. When you're done with the code, press submit and you'll be moved to the next logical lesson. And well, that's that. So go on, code, and remember, always have fun. Thank you so much.
Hi everyone, we are the Ask Me team. We are the last year students of maths and systems and computer engineers at Universidad del Norte, Barranquilla, Colombia. We wanted to make life easier for those who are just starting out in the program, with an assistant that accompanies you at all times within Studio Visual Code. We wanted to create an app that was easy to use with clean design, fast and flexible.
Our main inspiration for this project was Stack Overflow bot and the old Microsoft Office system. The answers are built based on our experience searching about code stuff. We take different sources of information with different formats to provide a response with the most comprehensive and accurate information by writing less and being more friendly. Here is an example of how do you talk to the bot and the answers of the bot. Here we show that you can change the theme of the editor and the bot will change.
Well, for the bot part, we base the bot part on a machine learning algorithm that extracts the topic related to the question provided by the user. But first, we use a deep learning algorithm that classifies if it's a question about Python or it's another stuff, like just saying goodbye or hello to our bot. When we classify the question, we get that the question was about Python. Then we match the topic related to the database, and then we extract the answers and send it to our user.
In conclusion, we built a station that is available on Marketplace. So go and download it.
All right, that was Ask Me Anything. Let's see what else is up. That was really cool to see. I love to see people working in teams. So now I'm going to share the next demo.
Team. My name is Michael DeMarco, and I'm an upcoming sophomore at UBC. This past 24 hours, I did a solo hack and managed to build VS Code puzzles. So what this aims to do is tackle the issue of follow-through when people are learning to code. When I first started learning, I found there was a huge disconnect between the online editors I would use to solve problems in, so like the ones available on like LeetCode and websites that are similar, between that and my IDE. So I wanted to create some sort of extension that would bring problems from those online editors into your IDE really easily, and from all sorts of different websites. I know there's like some online IDEs that are pretty good nowadays, but I wanted something where you get the authentic VS Code experience and it could still be quick, as we know. So this is the actual source repo. I did two things. I actually built the extension itself, and I built a backend API for like collecting the problem text. What it allows you to do is go into any random folder. So say I wanted it to be on GitHub. So I'd go to like where all my code is, create a random folder called random. And once in any folder, and you can do this from anywhere, it doesn't have to be a new folder, you can run 3 different commands. That's all it does is basically just register these commands. And so say I run daily programmer, it says problem created, get to solving, and boom, gives me a markdown file, which is really handy. I can show it using the built-in markdown previewer. And if I use the split screen view, I can drag over my coding problem and get to work right away with some auto-generated starter code. So that's kind of what I built. There's plan in the future to support multiple languages. Right now, it just defaults to Python. I have it live on the marketplace, which is really cool. And I definitely ran into a lot of obstacles. I had to use TypeScript for the first time, and I'm more of a JavaScript dude. So that was definitely a big learning curve. But yeah, that's my project. I really hope you enjoyed. Thank you so much for your time, and best of luck to everybody who submitted.
Great, thank you. That was very cool. Now let's see what is up next. This next project I'm super excited about. I honestly do not quite know what it is about. All I've seen is the thumbnail, but it was a fascinating thumbnail. So now I'm gonna show y'all what is up. If you just give me one moment. All right.
If we search extension from web page developing Visual Studio Code in Google, we find about 49,200,000 results in 47 seconds. Most of them make changes to the color palettes or change the text style. Some guidelines to follow in the code, but not really cares about the user's emotional experience. We want to make learning to code easier. For students new in their coding journey, there's a lot to do. Learning new programming syntax, understanding computer science concepts, setting up a coding environment, and figuring out how to use an editor IDE. A hard process if they are really new users. A typical website will take 16 weeks at a minimum from start to launch. Long periods of sitting in front of the computer, which could cause stress. To solve that problem, we create an extension that accelerates the initial web development, WebDev. WebDev extension creates a template for web development including HTML, Bootstrap, and CSS language. While the users are in process of modifying the code, we append funny image and some motivational message that the user can read like a pop-up message. The operation of the extension is very simple. Only you have to install it and initialize them. With that, you create in seconds an HTML and CSS with Bootstrap skeleton pages. The messages will appear over time. You don't have to worry about it. So, what are you waiting for? Install WebDev extension in your Visual Studio Code.
All right. So that was
Have you always
that was WebDev. Very, very cool. Let's see what's up next.
On our Visual Control Flow Visual Studio Code extension. My name is Evan Cantor, and I'm a student of computer science at the University of Toronto. I worked with Aaron Zhang, a student of computer engineering at the University of Waterloo. Now, our solution, our extension, is a solution for students to visualize their code. It's a problem that I thought about last week while preparing for this and working on developing a course for first-year students at the University of Toronto as a course developer assistant. And I noticed that visualizing code was something that was a manual process that would be hard to do, and I wanted to make that easier with its extension. So Aaron and I got together and we came up with this. So the problem is that understanding code is tough. We've got nested conditionals, loops, recursion, all this abstraction, these different layers, that can be hard to visualize, especially for a first-time programmer. The solution is our extension, which will visualize the code in a UML activity diagram format, making it a standard format used by software developers everywhere. Our focus is on Python for now, but our extension is easily extendable for future, if we want to add more languages in the future, because all you've got to do is add a parser in. It's easy to use, and as you'll see in a moment, but its functionality is limited for now. So what I'm about to show you is going to be a demo of this workflow. Essentially, our extension has to read the active Python file, then it has to parse that file into what we're calling a flow tree, which is a tree that keeps track of the way that the control flow changes throughout the file with the different syntactic elements marked up, so that we can then generate an SVG from that flow tree. And an SVG is an image that can then be saved, but first displayed in a web view within inside of VS Code. So let's demo it. So here you can see that I've got my demo file, which is my Python file with a simple script written by, let's say, an introductory computer science student. So I can go to my command play and I can choose Visualize Control Flow, Visualize Open File. And what that's done is it's generated the control flow diagram for my files. If I split right, not as easy as it looks. So let's try that again. Visualize control flow. Right. So you can see that this corresponds with our file, and the control flow logic is simulated in the diagram. So our next steps is to add an SVG so that we can do that export and to add more complex control flow.
All right, very, very cool. Thanks for sharing. Let's see what we have next.
Hello, dear colleagues and judges. You're welcomed by the development team from Russia, Pskov Hack. We are second and third year students of Pskov State University and members of the Pskov Hack IT community in our city. For us, the idea of creating extensions for programs is very interesting and useful, since we are still learning. This is why we know better than anyone what is best for learning. We want to present our solution to you as part of the Microsoft VS Code Hackathon, Simplify Your Work and Learn Coding. We offer so-called snippet extensions that allows the user to learn directly in the development environment. We solve the problems of searching for trained literature, copy-pasting information, and borrowing lines of code for simplified work. Let's see how it works. So thank you for watching. See you later.
I think I missed part of what happened towards the end, so we're gonna replay that with the subtitles. I'm so sorry.
So thank you for watching. See you later.
All right, that was very cool. I'm so sorry about that subtitle mistake. Hopefully you got the gist of that. Definitely check that out in the dev post if you're curious. And now let's see what's next. Oops, we did that one already, not that one. All right.
Hello everyone, we are Team Code Capture. Our idea is based on the fact that in recent times, the world has started moving towards pro CS education. The fact is that buying computers is a distant dream for most students and educational institutions across the globe, even today. In most developing countries, the ratio of CS students versus the number of computer available is highly skewed, and most students are still learning programming via pen and paper. Therefore, we decided to develop an extension for Visual Studio Code, one of the most commonly used code editors in the world, to be able to capture code from scanned images of handwritten text and save it in a file of the right extension on the computer.
Let's see our extension in action. Our extension, basically what it does is it pulls out handwritten code from an image and populates a code editor file with it, so as to make it easier to test handwritten code real time for multiple people learning to code at the same time with a deficiency of resources and single systems. So what I have here is my extension.js file. Okay. So let's see our extension in action. Our extension primarily uses Azure Computer Vision API's Read API and the Visual Studio Code API that is available to us. Our extension allows me to pick an image which contains handwritten code, and that image is run through Azure Computer Vision API, and the response I get from the API is used to is parsed line by line and is used to populate a .c file at the moment, for which we will be trying to build it further to support other languages. So just to get the extension up and running, I choose the workspace in which I want my file to be. So it's going to be my hackathon folder that I have. Then here, opening the command pane and running the image to text command. That's what I've called my extension command. It allows me to pick an image. So I pick an image from here. It's the read sample image. Here, as we can see, the picked image has been given, and IntelliSense has been configured directly because Visual Studio Code, as it is one of the best and most favored editors, does allow us to use IntelliSense on its own, so we did not have to worry about doing the beautification here. There is the 5% error of the machine learning model or the computer vision API, which does not, because of a difference in handwriting, will lead to some syntax errors. So here we have the option to be able to edit our code a little bit before we run it. I'm just going to remove the extra spaces here that have appeared and add the missing closing brace. Now I think this is good to go. I can actually run this. This is the final code we have. This will help a lot of people around the world that are just starting to learn to code, and universities and schools that are short on resources will be able to teach people to code on pen and paper, and all these people will be able to check their code real time, even though there is a 20:1 computer ratio in such spaces. So
Looked like the video cut off. That was very cool. Thank you for sharing. All right, let's see who's next.
I wish that I had when I was starting to learn how to program is like something to save every question that I had, every question and answer. So for example, let's say that I am like working on some project and I'm just stuck. And then I think about it and I search in Google, I maybe find a helpful question in Stack Overflow, and then I fix my problem. So everything is great until I have the same problem again. And now I need to go through all that process that it's honestly quite tiring. And even sometimes I just can't find the link anymore. So for this problem, we have helped me. And to remember what questions you had, like, I don't know, a few weeks ago, then you simply type this, and then you see. Or let's say that this is just what I wanted to find, and then you just press enter, and then you will go. Yeah. So now let's say that you come up with a new question, with something like that you want to add to our database. So now simply you press plus, and then you add a question. So then what question do you want to add? Say show examples of VS Code extensions. So now the link, this is the VS Code examples, and then let's say I really like this, so I would like to save it. So now you use copy, paste it, and that's it. So now let's say that a few months pass, and then you remember, oh, I wanted to search for the VS Code, but I don't remember when, how to search it, and wow. Okay, so now you simply have to press this again, and here it is. Show.
Okay, looks like we got another one that cut off at the end, but that was also really, really cool, really good work there. And to answer your question, 221 is a little over the limit, but basically that's just for consideration for the coaches or for the judges. Judges will oftentimes have a time limit, so they don't have too much time to look at videos, which is why we ask you to keep them to 2 minutes. But if you do go over, you just have so much cool stuff to talk about, not a problem. Let's see what else we have.
I'm an incoming freshman at UC Berkeley, and I'm delighted to share with you about the extension that I've built. Well, I actually live in Singapore, and here people speak a variety of languages, from Malay to Mandarin to Tamil, and of course English. But something I've noticed is that the current landscape of software development and programming is largely centered around the English language. I'm not just talking about code constructs like for, if, and else, but rather a larger body of documentation for third-party and open source libraries that are written in English. Only very few large companies have the resources to translate the documentation into multiple languages, and this shuts out many non-English speakers from picking up programming and software development. Imagine if you're a newcomer and you're trying to pick up a new JavaScript library, but the documentation is all in English. I'm sure that would turn you away. In fact, what surprised me when I searched was that less than 20% of the world speak English. That is why I built Babelfish. So what Babelfish does is that it automatically parses JavaScript source files and looks for comments that are not in the user's native language. It then translates these comments into the user's native language using Microsoft Azure's Cognitive Services API. For example, here I have the Axios library, a very popular third-party library for making HTTP requests. If I were to open up a source file here, all these documentation comments are often very useful for newcomers, helping them understand what these functions do and what their purpose is. However, if I were a non-English speaker, all this wouldn't make any sense to me. In that case, all I would have to do is enable Babelfish. It will identify the comments and automatically translate them to my native language, just set to Chinese in the settings here. And that's basically it. It's a conceptually simple extension, but I believe that Babelfish will make programming and software development more accessible and inclusive for everyone. Thank you.
All right, that was really cool. Babelfish, love the title. Now let's see what we have next. We have one more demo and then we're gonna have a quick coffee break and come back. So enjoy the last demo for now. This demo I think is pretty cool personally. It's not your average standard everyday demo. This demo is a little bit of a blast from the past, and I'm gonna show y'all why right now.
Hi, my name is Eric Lee. I'm a rising junior at the University of Maryland of College Park. I study computer science and mathematics, and I'm going to present what I built for the VS Code Hackathon. I built a tool that will visualize Java data structures within VS Code. So data structures, linked lists, graphs, binary search trees, they are taught at almost every college introductory computer science course. These data structures are very fundamental to CS, and also it's not the easiest to learn them. Just looking at the code, it's hard for a visual learner to think about the data structure. And also for those who are not as proficient in English, a visual might help their understanding drastically. So let's go into a demo of how the tool works. Basically, the user will define their data structure and call some method to modify it. But now we want a visual. So the user will call at here and here, they will call a Java function that will take the data structure and write it into a JSON representation on disk. Now, now the Java code runs, and then the VS Code extension sees this and executes a Python script that will take the JSON file and render a image PNG format of the data structure. Then the VS Code extension renders this image in WebView. So if I had more time, I spent 12 hours on this sadly, I would extend the data structure supported to general graphs and have additional interaction with a debugger. This was an exciting project and a great opportunity. Thank you for your time.
Okay, very cool. Fun to see a little whiteboard demo. Now, like I said, we will be going on a quick break. We'll have a quick coffee break, then we'll be right back for more closing ceremony good times.
Hello, everyone. We're back here on the stream. After a little bit of a judging process there, we're now ready to speak about who has impressed the judges and which teams will be awarded prizes and honorable mentions. So let's, without further ado, go to the presentation.
Awesome. 1 second, let me just present. All right. One moment. All right, cool. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming and joining us. This has been a really great experience, an awesome weekend. So let's jump right in. Thank you. I was a little early there. Thank you to all the hackers, mentors, and judges. You really made this event fantastic. Thank you for devoting your time and for chatting with all of us here. And now moving into what everyone's been waiting for. Drum roll, please. Just kidding. Wanted to let y'all know we had exactly 230 people check in, which is really cool. Awesome numbers. Woo, woo, what's up? That's awesome. Let's see what else is up here. 30 plus projects. That's awesome. Again, that's really cool, especially for that ratio. So y'all did a really good job. I can tell y'all were working hard this weekend. Awesome to see. And with that, I'll pass it off.
Yes, perhaps, Sana, maybe you would like to, the next slide will be for our best overall, or I'm sorry, for our best use of an external API prize. So let's move to the next slide.
All right, best use of an external API. Drum roll, please. The winner is VS Code Puzzles. Woo! This was definitely a very hard one to figure out. There were so many great examples of extensions that used other tools that you brought into VS Code. This was a really hard one, but it was really fun to see. I think VS Code Puzzle brought in the ability to look at challenges from other websites like LeetCode, for instance, and do them in VS Code. So this is why we gave this one the prize. We thought it was a really good example of using a public website that people already use for challenges and coding and bringing it to VS Code.
And the next slide will be the honorable mention.
And then we wanted to give an honorable mention and huge shout out to the second sort of honorable mention here, Stack Overflow Search. This was a really good example of bringing probably everyone's favorite and most commonly used website anytime they code, Stack Overflow, into the editor. It brought it up into a web view, so you could search for anything, like you could highlight a word or search for it, and then you would see the relevant questions and answers inside VS Code without having to leave the editor. So we really liked this one as well.
Great.
And now next up, most creative.
Let's do drum roll.
Drum roll, please.
Here we go.
The winner for most creative is Aristotle.
Woohoo!
Woohoo! Aristotle was an awesome app that we thought helped people follow the logic behind what their code is doing. So for a lot of beginners, sometimes you can't actually, sometimes you're like reading through code, but you're not actually understanding the syntax. So we thought it was a great example of pulling out the important part from your code, showing it in a side-by-side view in VS Code. And then you can also share the your sort of code logic and put it up on a website. So we thought this was a really great way to share code and create a community as well. So this is why we gave this the most creative award.
Great. And we have an honorable mention as well for most creative.
And the honorable shout out goes to Babelfish. Woohoo! Babelfish was an awesome app that we thought kind of broke down the stereotype that, you know, code has to be in English. It lets you add code lenses to the top of your comments and your code and kind of translate them for you in the language of your choice. So whether it's, you know, French or Chinese, whatever you're doing. So we thought this was an awesome creative app as well.
And now the next one is the big boy.
Best overall. Let's give a big drum roll here.
The winner is Code Capture. Woohoo! Code Capture wins best overall, and I hope you've seen the demo of it in the channel. But we thought this was an awesome extension that took handwritten code that you wrote on a piece of paper and kind of translated it to you in real code as a real code file in VS Code. We thought this kind of broke down the barrier to even starting to code. We thought this was really accessible and inclusive and really included everyone, no matter what their background is or what their like what kind of student they are, and encouraging them to code and get started. So we thought this won best overall. It made use of an external API or the Cognitive Services library in Azure as well. We thought it was really, really well done, really, really well framed. Good job.
Couldn't have said it better, Sana. And actually, that reminds me of opening ceremony when you and Margaret talked about how this hackathon was basically focusing on new learners. And I personally agree with the judges that this hackathon did a great, or this hack did a great job of addressing that concern.
So yeah, lastly, a huge congratulations. Sorry, Steven. A huge congratulations to all our winning hackers. Super, super great work, all of you. I had a lot of fun this weekend. I know that Steven and Sana did as well. So if there's anything else y'all would like to add.
Yeah, I want to say thank you all so much. This was an awesome experience. This is the first time that the VS Code team has done something like this. So we want to thank all of you for spending so much time like researching through our documentation and looking at our code samples and really trying it out and giving us a lot of good feedback for our team to actually take back and work on as well to bring to the core editor. This was a great experience, and I hope all of you took the chance to think about your own coding journeys, your friends' coding journeys, and understand like the whole point of this is to make CS a more approachable field for everyone in the world. And so I want to thank all of you once again for spending the weekend with us. If you want to keep in touch with us, feel free to follow the VS Code Twitter account. It's just @code. It's a really easy handle. It's great. And we are always responding to people who mention us or add us on Twitter. If you want to get involved with more open source projects, VS Code is a great repository to do that. You can open an issue, the documentation, or contribute something back, or even a feature suggestion. We'll take all of that. So thank you so much.
Great.
Well, I suppose that concludes it for our live stream. It looks like the folks in the comments are having some nice, happy responses. We have party eye emoji. So people are happy about this. So let's leave it on a good note, and everyone enjoy your week, and we hope to see you next weekend for more hackathons.
See ya.
See ya.
Bye.